Yes, turn on.
And you've got the exhibits.
Yes, I've got them.
Yeah, put this.
I got my computer back there. I can hear you.
And shut one of those doors, just that one. This one you can leave open.
Okay.
Put all the phones on mute. So they won't ring in here?
John, you're not muted.
I know that. I'm trying to make sure there's not a lot of background noise. Hey.
There you go.
Okay. Carrie? Hey, Carrie.
She's muted.
Oh, she's muted?
Yeah, John, no one's here.
Yes, I'm muted.
Okay, hey, Carrie, I was going to ask you. I don't guess she can hear me.
She can hear you. She's just muted.
Can I hear her?
Yeah. I guess we can start with the Fincher case.
Give me just a minute, Judge.
Okay. Do what? Oh, yeah, I know.
Sorry, Judge. My legal assistant had changed out who I had logged on. So
Okay, that's fine. I know we got you with your client is here. Mr. Jones is the respondent in this case present. Amanda Easley.
I don't know if it's Easley or Fincher or Carpenter. She goes by all of those.
Okay. Well.
And I know that yesterday, Mr. Johnson had filed an answer on her behalf, but I believe they've withdrawn.
Who did?
Mr. Cedric Johnson.
Oh, okay. So he filed an answer, then withdrew?
I believe he had a conflict, Judge.
Okay. All right. But she's got notice of today's hearing?
Oh, yes.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll get her name called through. I, I don't know which one. I guess what I'll get Shelley to do is call her name three times, but all the different last names, because I don't want to misstep. And so it's Easley, Carpenter, and what else?
Fincher.
Fincher. Okay. I just wrote down all three. I mean, what else to do? Okay, we will go on the record in D20-29149-CV, the interests of Memphis Lee Fincher. That's
I see Cedric. I see Cedric connecting, Judge.
Okay. And I have Ms. Donica present with her client. The respondent's name is being called three times, and there's been no response. I also don't show the respondent in the waiting room or on the screen. So with that, these are set for temporary orders, a motion to modify temporary orders.
That's correct, Your Honor.
Okay. All right. Well, and just so the record's clear, the respondent was noticed of today's hearing. Is that correct?
That's correct, Judge.
Okay. All right. You may proceed.
Thank you. I'd call William Jones. You're going to have to unmute yourself, Will.
Got it.
All right, sir, if you could raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you give in this case will be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, sir.
Make sure you speak up, sir, so I can hear you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. You may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Your name is William Jones. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And you are the father of Memphis Fincher, who I believe the name was changed to Memphis Jones. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And there was previously a hearing held in this case, and I didn't represent you. Someone else represented you, but no temporary orders were ever entered. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And are you asking that temporary orders be entered, naming you as the primary? I see Mr. Johnson is sending a message, Judge.
Okay. Let's pause right now because
I don't know if he's here on something else or.
Judge, we're present on this case.
Okay.
I want to advise the court that my client has advised me yesterday, and I advised Mr. Johnson in his office. Mr. Johnson had previously consulted with Mr. Jones with reference to this case. And there's even recordings of a phone conversation on Mr. Johnson's cell phone with Mr. Jones, and he conferred with him in person in his office about this case, and therefore he objects to Mr. Johnson being able to now come in and represent the other side of a case about which he has knowledge from Mr. Jones. And yesterday, Mr. Crawford advised that they would withdraw.
And Your Honor, we did file a motion to withdraw. I'm not aware of any kind of recording that Ms. Donica is speaking of, but we have filed a motion to withdraw. But my client is still, until we're withdrawn from the case, is still present, and she's wanting to be heard.
We have no objection to his withdrawal, Judge.
yeah, let's do this first. The motion, did you file that, Mr. Johnson, through e-file?
Yes, it was e-file at 5 o'clock yesterday, 5:07 yesterday.
Okay. So at this point, motion to withdraw is granted.
Your Honor, I believe Ms. Carpenter has something that she would like to state before you continue with the motion to modify the temporary orders.
Okay. And she understands at this point she's representing herself. Is that correct?
That's correct.
All right. And yes, ma'am.
I'm requesting extra time to find new counsel since this was just sprung on me yesterday that this was an issue. I've already consulted with another attorney. I'm just waiting for this issue to be wrapped up first.
Okay.
Well, Judge, we would object to that because we've got 7 witnesses that are here. She has had plenty of notice about the hearing. I can't help that she waited until the day before the hearing to try to retain an attorney. That's not Mr. Jones's fault, nor is it the child's fault.
Let me make some notes here. Let me recess for 1 second to consider the ruling.
There's more that I would like to say about that.
When was this? We can go back on the record. When was this set? As far as these temporary orders, motion to modify?
Give me 1 second, Judge. It was set on,
And Mr. Johnson, you don't have to remain, but I know your former client's using your screen. If she would like to come to the courthouse and use the jury room, that's fine too. I don't feel as though you need to feel obligated to do that.
Yeah, she's here at our facility. I'll allow her to continue to use the facility and step out of the picture.
I don't want you to feel, I know it's put you in an awkward position since the motion withdrawal has been granted, but I don't want you to feel like you have to stay there because it is your office, I know.
I'll allow her to decide if she wants to stay here or go over to the office.
All right. Ma'am, what would you like to do?
If it's okay, I'd like to stay here so we can hurry up and get done with instead of wasting time.
So you can what?
So we can get this over with so that I can get back to work.
Okay.
Judge, you signed the notice of hearing on May the 24th.
May the 24th.
Yes, sir.
All right. The motion to continue is denied. Let's proceed. And both sides have 15 minutes, 20 minutes at the max. You may call your first or finish your opening statement.
yes, well, Judge, we had called Mr. Jones, but I believe that the environment.
Yes, that's sorry.
I'll back up since she's
Yes.
present. I'll handle it a little differently with her present. And with Mr. Johnson present, which is a little unsettling. But I believe the environment in which the child is when in the custody of.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Judge, before we withdrew on yesterday, there were some exhibits that were submitted to the court.
Okay.
There were some exhibits that I think we have. How do you want her to present those to the court as far as the exhibits? Just
I'm not sure. She's basically on her own at this point. So
I was served with these papers on the 25th, which
Okay.
was Friday. Monday was obviously a holiday, so I could not go and get an attorney that day. Tuesday, I came with the money and I hired an attorney. Yesterday, at like 3 something, is when Mr. Jones said that he had an objection with me using the attorney I had. So I'm not understanding why I can't go and pay this up, get an extension on time. I'll have another attorney lined up, but she wasn't able to take over until the withdrawal was accepted.
So are you,
Well, that's not true. She could file a motion to substitute.
who is the attorney, ma'am, that you said that you've hired now?
Sarah Keithley, she's not in her office today, so they told me to request an extension today to give her time to get back in her office. Not only that, but I was literally hit with this yesterday
Okay.
at the end of the day. I didn't know that I was gonna have to hire another attorney after having this one.
Okay.
That's when we were hit with it too.
Let's go back to the issue of the exhibits. I'll turn the screen share on if there's exhibits she'd like to present. Obviously, ma'am, if you've hired Ms. Keithley or if I don't see any notice of appearance from Ms. Keithley, so she can always file motions down the road regarding this case. So I'm ready to take up testimony at this time. You may continue your examination of Mr. Jones.
Will, you're the father of Memphis Jones, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And Memphis was born February the 19th of 2020.
Yes, ma'am.
And sorry, I'm trying to, it's hard to juggle all this stuff at your desk. So you, what kind of schedule do you and she use?
That didn't get cut out.
What kind of schedule do you and Miss, I'm not sure what name she's using, Fincher, Carpenter, or Easley, but what schedule do you guys use with reference to Memphis?
There's really no schedule. It's just kind of fly by night. But for the most part, he's usually with me. I know for probably the past 4 months now, I've had him almost every single day.
And does where does Miss I'm just going to call her Fincher, since I think that's the name she uses on Facebook. Is that correct?
I'm sorry, I didn't get an answer.
Yes.
Thank you.
And does she live with another person?
Yes, she does.
And who is the person with whom she resides?
Cody Hannah.
And have you had an opportunity to view the environment in which these people live?
Yes, multiple times.
And how many other people live in this, I don't want to call it a house, but live in this location?
It's 9 total.
9 people.
Yeah. His 3 kids, himself, Amanda, and her 4 kids.
All right. So Amanda has 3 other children?
Yes.
All right. I want to show you what I have, if I can screen share here. Hold on, sorry. I'm trying to open a document and I'm doing it poorly. Give me just a minute, Judge.
That's okay. Shelley, she can come in if she needs some. She can come in. Right.
Well, it's spinning out of control now. God almighty. This world we live in is quite challenging, isn't it?
Yeah.
All right. Well, my screen sharing is not working. Give me a second here.
I know it's on.
Here we go. Oh, great. And they're going to be sideways. That's always good. All right, let me see if I can get them to, see if I can do it now. All right, I'll show you what I've marked as Exhibit 2, and it's a bunch of photographs. Can you tell me what these are photographs of? Can you see the, oh, hold on, I'm not sharing it yet. God almighty. Challenging. All right, can you see these, can you see the screen?
Yes.
And tell me what these are pictures of.
These are pictures of where Amanda formerly lived and where she currently lives now. That's
All right.
the outside. That's the inside of her older house, the top right, or top left. That's driving into the property of where she's living at now. The one right there where your mouse is at, that's inside the domicile.
So this is in this one that the mouse is on. That's got the all of the looks like propane or something, or that's inside.
It's a barn-dominium, so it's like a shop, and that's, I guess, where they hang
I'd
out.
like to board eye and ask when these photos were taken. Because there's a Christmas tree.
I'm sorry.
I would like to board eye and ask when these photos were taken.
You may.
When, Mr. Jones, when were these pictures taken?
See, these right here were taken, I would say, January, February.
Okay, that would have been, if they were taken in
Okay, that I'm gonna object. That's improper. Voir dire, Judge. She's asked the question.
I also say.
And so these were taken during this year, correct?
Yes.
And is this a table where they dine?
I don't think they dine in that area. I'm pretty sure they dine. If you scroll up to the left a little bit where that white door is.
I don't think these have been they've not been offered yet.
I
so-
object.
Do these accurately depict the residents when you took them?
Yes.
We'd offer petitioner's exhibit 2.
Okay, at this point in time, Ms. Fincher, alternative, do you have any objections to the admission of this exhibit?
I do object. Those photos, according to him, were taken prior to our first court hearing. And those are outside of the residence.
Well, actually,
Okay,
their first court hearing was prior to that, Judge. So I'm sorry, she's mistaken.
Tell me your objection again, your legal objection?
He stated that those pictures were taken in January, very 1st of February. Our first court hearing was in February. So why weren't those addressed at that court hearing?
Okay, the objection's overruled. The exhibit is admitted.
So this is the way, and have you been out there since then?
Yes.
Does it look any better?
No.
Are there any animals in the house?
Yes.
How many?
Honestly, I don't know the number off the top of my head. I know there's a goat, pig.
A goat. This is a goat in the house right there in that picture?
Right. Yes.
So they have a goat that lives in the house?
Yes. A mini pig, dogs, and cats.
So is this Memphis's little baby chair fastened on top of the dog pen?
Yes, ma'am.
And is this the goat's bowl of food and water in the middle of the floor?
Yes.
And is this the dog and pups in this picture? That appears to be a dog with some baby pups, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And then what is this picture on the left? Is that
That's Memphis's crib, where he sleeps in a room that he shares with Amanda and Cody.
so he's in the bedroom with his mother and her boyfriend?
Yes.
And what is this in this other picture?
That's one of the kennels that they have out there with God knows what in it.
Okay. And does this appear beside the crib to be a bag of trash or something?
I'm not 100% sure, but it wouldn't surprise me if that's exactly what it was.
And then what is this area here on the right?
It looks like that's where his diapers and some of his clothes were stored at.
Along with a hammer and some sort of wrench or something?
Hammer, wrench, cables, propane tanks, a vehicle that was being worked on.
Propped up on this red thing? What is that?
I think it was a vehicle that Cody was working on at the time.
So this is the area where his diapers and stuff are kept? Correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And is this just all out in the open where they live?
Yes.
So this isn't a separate shop area. This is their actual residence.
It's their residence and it's attached to the shop area.
All right. And then this is this the entrance to it?
Yes, ma'am.
And what is this?
This is right outside the front door to the living area.
And do you know what this is?
I think it's like a big shop fan.
And is this the family's refrigerator?
It's one of them, and I think that's where they keep the beverages at.
Do you think this is a safe environment for Memphis?
No, ma'am.
And is Memphis walking?
Yes, ma'am.
I want to show you now. Hold on, let me see if I can figure out how to do this. Ah, dang it. What's marked as Exhibit 1. And do you recognize this document?
Yes, ma'am.
And what is this?
Basically, Amanda boasting about her living environment. Is a petting zoo, and
Mr. Jones, if you could not testify as to what the contents of the exhibit are until they've been offered, thank you.
Was this something that was posted on Facebook by Memphis's mother?
yes, ma'am.
And what's the date that this was posted?
March. I'm not 100% sure. I want to say it was around March.
And is there any reason to believe that she's not the one that posted this?
No.
All right. At this time, we'd offer petitioner's Exhibit 1.
Ms. Fincher, do you have any objections, legal objections to the admission of this exhibit?
No, sir.
One is admitted. All right, you may resume.
So they've got 7 kids, a man, a child, a goat, a cat, a bearded dragon, and 8 puppies, all living in the residence, and 4 dogs, all living in the residence. Correct? According to this post.
Yes, ma'am.
And she's first of all, talks about Memphis digging in the trash and finding chocolate cake. And then
Yes.
saying that visitors need to bring food if they don't want to be bitten. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Does that sound like a safe place for a 1-year-old?
No, ma'am, it does not.
I want to show you what is marked as petitioner's exhibit 3. I don't know why these are all sideways. I apologize, but it is what it is. And can you tell me what petitioner's exhibit 3 depicts?
That is the front of my house.
And do these pictures accurately depict what your house looks like?
Yes, ma'am.
At this time, we'd offer petitioner's exhibit 3.
Any objection, ma'am?
No, sir.
3 is admitted.
And is this the way that your house looks now?
Yes, ma'am.
And I'll represent to the court that Laurie Bass took these pictures and scanned them in for me, so it's her fault they're sideways, Your Honor.
Okay.
And is this a pantry in the kitchen?
Yes, ma'am. That's Memphis, one of Memphis' pantries.
Memphis's pantry. All right. And
Can I interrupt? Robbie Jock has contacted the court through the chat asking if they can be called back whenever it's his time. I think they're involved in some matter.
of course, Judge.
Okay. Thank you. You may resume.
Thank you, Judge. And this is the kitchen.
Yes, ma'am.
And what does this picture depict?
This baby devices that I have around the kitchen or just around the house in general to make sure that he doesn't have access to it.
All right. So he can't get in the drawers
Or the cabinets. No, ma'am.
or the cabinets. And what's this?
This is his room.
Still in his room?
Yes, ma'am.
And another device to,
Getting ahead before he gets a growth spurt and starts trying to open doors.
gotcha. And what's this?
This is my living room.
Same?
Yes, ma'am. And another picture of his room.
Oh, too cute. And electrical outlets is covered?
Yes, ma'am.
And here's his pantry that we've got in upside down. So that makes
That's
it fun to
his
look
second
at.
pantry.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So I want to show you, I'm going to cut to the chase if we may. And I'm going to show you what I've marked as petitioner's exhibit 5. Let's see if we get that one going in the right direction. And I'm showing you what's been marked as petitioner's exhibit 5. And is this the relief that you're requesting of the court?
Yes, ma'am.
And are you asking that you be designated as the parent who has the exclusive right to establish his domicile
Yes, ma'am.
and to make major medical and psychological decisions regarding Memphis?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you asking that her periods of possession be supervised by her sister, Nikki Fincher?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you asking that there be no romantic partners present during possession between 8 p.m. and 8 a.m.?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you asking for her to have visits on the first, third, and fifth Friday of each month until the following Sunday?
Yes, ma'am.
And you're asking that she picks up and returns the child to you. The court appoint an amicus attorney to assist in the court, if the court should so desire, in making decisions regarding this case. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
I'll pass the witness.
Did you, Ms. Tonka, did you?
I'm sorry. Yeah, Judge, thank you. I'd offer exhibit 5
As an aid to the court?
as an aid to the court, Your Honor.
Okay. Ms. Fincher, do you have any objection to this exhibit as an aid to the court?
No, sir.
All right, it's admitted as an aid.
Is there any question that what you're requesting is extremely important for Memphis's safety?
Absolutely.
Pass the witness.
Ms. Fincher, do you have any questions of this witness?
Yes, sir, I do.
You may proceed.
Mr. Jones, where is your proof that you've had him every day for the past 4 months?
I'm sorry.
Ms. Fincher, can you state that? I didn't hear the question. Where is what?
Where is your proof that you've had him every day for the past 4 months?
Almost every day, not every single day, as I stated. I've submitted a PDF file, not a PDF, an Excel file documenting every day that I've had Memphis. And also there are timestamp photographs as well from every single one of those days from the day that he was born.
Okay, do you have that verification now?
Here,
Yeah, I mean, I've got the calendars. Just didn't offer them, but I do have the calendars.
How did you obtain the photos of the inside of my residence and who took them?
I took him the days that I either had to come out there to drop him off to you and or pick him up.
So without my acknowledgement, you were in my house taking photos.
You were aware that I was in your house. We had conversations.
You did have my permission. You had my permission or Cody's permission to take those photos?
I took him because I knew that my son's safety was in jeopardy being in that environment.
Have you taken any photos recently?
Yes, the last time I was there.
I'm sorry.
Yes, the last time that I was there.
That would have been in like February-ish. Did you took those photos?
The last time I was there.
Yes, you stated that all of those photos were from January and February.
Okay. There are more recent ones as well.
Why didn't you submit the recent ones?
Could you pull back up that exhibit? The ones that she was scrolling past at that time were from that time period. Once she asked the question that she asked.
You testified that those photos were from January, February. So,
Your Honor, I think Cedric Johnson is giving legal advice to Ms. Carpenter.
I agree.
Judge, I'm not giving legal advice. She's asked me some questions about how to get her exhibits. That's the reason I'm here.
That's legal advice.
Advice.
Mr.
It's,
let me-
it's
let-
technological
let me-
advice. That's it.
let-
I'm not giving her any legal advice.
I would think I would strongly let you evaluate, Mr. Johnson, what you should and shouldn't be doing. So, I mean, she's on her own. So if she were sitting here in the courtroom, you wouldn't be here with her. Or if she was sitting in the jury room, you wouldn't be here with her. She would, so.
Just use my computer, so I have to give her access to this computer.
Okay. I tell you, to make it cleaner for everyone, I'm going to recess. Ms. Fincher, you need to either come to the courthouse or find another place to go. So it's not putting, this is uncomfortable now that I'm seeing what's possibly going on, and I'm not making any, I think it's a very awkward situation.
Sounds like you're making some inferences, Judge, but I can assure you what I'm doing right now is assisting her with the computer in which she's using.
I think I'd like for her to come down here. That way it's taking you out of the picture, and she's representing herself, and that there's no allegations made or insinuations. And so we'll be in recess until she can find another spot.
I would really like to re-urge my continued rights. I mean, this just isn't right under any circumstances.
We're in recess. Um, did we know where Miss Fincher went? Is she still here?
Judge, I see her walking up. She parked in front of the building and she's walking in. I see her.
Okay. I guess she can go in there and. Melissa, do you have Terry's extension? We don't have phone lists anymore. I know that they just stopped doing that.
Yes, sir. Terry is 3306.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
It's my understanding that Miss Fincher is coming to the courthouse now.
That was my understanding, but for about 15 minutes, she was still sitting there with Mr. Johnson after the court recessed, so.
Okay. Well, it's my understanding she's coming up the steps now, so.
Awesome.
Shelley's going to set up the computer in the jury room. So we'll wait just a second.
We'll be here.
He asked you to unmute yourself, so now you're unmuted. You're gonna have to speak to him. I can't give you any of that information.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Do we have everybody present again on the Jones? Okay, we'll come out of recess and I believe, Ms. Fincher, you were asking Mr. Jones questions. You may resume.
I have no other questions.
All right. Ms. Sonic, any further questions?
I think she was cross-examining, am I correct? And did she
Yes.
pass the witness? I apologize. I want to go back to the pictures. Some of those pictures were from April and May as well. Is that correct?
I didn't-
Well,
Yes.
okay, sorry. And then I would like to screen share again, if I may. This is tricky. You think we'd eventually get good at it, wouldn't you?
Well, it's technology, subject to issues all the time.
I want to show you what's been marked as Petitioner's Exhibit 6 and ask if you recognize this. Will,
Yes, ma'am, I do.
and when were these pictures taken?
Mid-May. I want to say around that 15th to 18th of May.
And did these pictures accurately depict the way the residents looked? Will?
Yes.
And it appears there's a couple of posts from Ms. Fincher's Facebook page stuck in there as well, correct?
Yes. Of two of the dogs that they just recently purchased. I guess they got a hold of some fish hooks, which easily been my son getting the hold of those.
I'm sorry, say it again.
Which could have easily been my son that have gotten a hold of those fish hooks and got stuck in him.
And this is the actual interior of their home.
That's the shop area. It's right outside the front door, pretty much.
Have these been offered?
At this time, we'd offer, I'm sorry, Judge, no. At this time, I'd offer Petitioner's Exhibit 6. It's so hard to do it when, you know, you haven't offered them, but you're having to identify them.
I know. Well, we'll soon be back in person, sooner rather than later.
We'd offer Petitioner's Exhibit 6.
Any objections, Ms. Fincher, to 6? Legal objections?
No.
6 is admitted.
I'll pass the witness.
Ms. Fincher, any further questions of this witness?
No, sir.
All right. You may call your next witness.
Call Tamia Terry. She's going to be on the screen that says Casey Johnson, but I'll get,
Okay.
it's going to be Tamia, T-A-M-I-A, Terry, T-E-R-R-Y. And I told my staff not to worry about changing people out on the, if that's okay with the court.
That's fine. Ms. Terry? Okay. And
Oh man, we're tricky. There we go.
okay. And how do you spell your name? Because the court reporter, I think, will want to know as well as I do.
Oh, Tamia.
And last name is Terry?
Yes, Terry.
Thank you. Ma'am, do you want to raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you give in this case will be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
All right, you may proceed.
Your name is Tamia Terry, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And how do you know Will Jones?
That's my uncle.
And so your mom, was your mom his sister?
Yes, I was his older sister.
And what role did Will play in your life?
He played
Has
a
he?
father figure. He's played a father figure for me, especially after my mom passed away. He's always been there for us financially and supportive wise. He's been to all of our school functions, graduations, helped me in college when I needed it. He watches my kids for me if I need him to. He takes them. He asks me, can he take them places? He's all around. He's like a father and a grandpa to me and my kids.
Any concerns at all about him as a parent with Memphis?
No, every time I see him with him, he's just the happiest baby in life. He is amazing, that little boy. I mean, over the top amazing. He changes diapers, feeds him. He worries about what he eats. He does not let him eat sweets. When I try to give him sweets, he's like, no. You know, he's amazing with him.
Thank you, Tamia. I'll pass the witness.
Ms. Fincher, do you have any questions of this witness?
No, sir.
All right. You may
I
vote.
called Dee Dee. I'm sorry. I call Dylan Hicks.
Okay. Is he on the screen?
He will be in Casey's chair.
Okay.
I just got him sitting in the lobby and then rotating into the conference room.
Gotcha.
I've got every computer in the office going, so I'm 2 laptops and
Bill?
I may just send him in there to sit in.
Okay.
There he is.
All right. Do you want to raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you give in this case will be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
All right. You may proceed.
Would you state your name and spell it for the court reporter, please, sir?
Yes, ma'am. It's Delwyn Demond Hicks, DELWYNDEMONDHICKS.
And are you more commonly known as Dee Dee?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Would you tell the judge about how you know Will Jones?
Will and I met through mutual friends about 15 years ago. Similar music types, both powerlifting in high school. We had some common interests, so it's been about 15 years.
And have you had an opportunity to see him with Memphis?
Yes, I have.
And tell the court about your observations of Will as a dad with Memphis.
Will's very hands-on. Memphis is a very happy baby. The only time I ever hear him crying is something specific that he's trying to convey, like he has a diaper that needs to be changed or he's hungry. Will's very engaged. I remember the first time I met Memphis, Will was in the kitchen and he was making Memphis his breakfast, and he had all these different containers out and avocado slices, milk and all this stuff. And I was just like, how do you know how to make all of this? Like, how do you know this? It's like, I just do, you know, I looked it up, I found out. And, you know, when you go over to his house, 9 times out of 10, Memphis is right at his hip. Will's cooking. Memphis is in a really good mood. He's a happy baby. I just haven't seen anything negative in that interaction. He's a really hands-on dad.
Thank you, Dee Dee. I'll pass the witness.
Ms. Fincher, any questions of this witness?
No, sir.
Okay. Mr. Hicks, you're free to go.
Okay,
Have a
thank
good
you.
day. You may call your next witness.
Your Honor, I'm going to rest at this point. I've got several other witnesses, but I'm not going to call them yet. I may call them in rebuttal.
Okay. Ms. Fincher, do you have any witnesses to call or any testimony that you'd like to give at this time?
I have a few exhibits, but since my attorney was denied, I have absolutely no clue how to display them. I have them with me, but not technology savvy at all,
I understand.
and I have no access to a scanner or anything right now.
Okay. Ms. Donica, we can go off the record for a second. Ms. Donica, before Mr. Johnson's motion to withdraw was filed, did he send you exhibits?
He did not, Judge.
Well, I thought I heard him say, and maybe I misunderstood, that he had filed them with the court.
Judge, let me have 1 second and look and see. You know, I haven't looked this morning. I hadn't even seen his motion to withdraw. So I got here and got on getting ready for.
Leslie, did he file them with you? Which I think I had stopped that practice some time ago, but I know different courts are doing it differently, so that may have been the reason why he filed it. But I think I stopped that some time ago when I realized it was not the best method to do exhibits.
I did stop it, and I don't have anything from him.
Okay. I don't know if you want to hold them up to the screen, ma'am, and let Ms. Thompson, I don't know. And I'll just tell you, my practice, especially during Zoom hearings, is when, if you'll notice, when an exhibit is put on the screen before it's been admitted or offered, I don't look at it because to me, it's not been offered nor has it been admitted. So I don't, if you want to hold them up to whatever you're wanting to do, I'll certainly let you put them up to the screen if that, and let Ms. Donica look at whatever the exhibits are. And that way, because I don't want are they pictures, ma'am?
They're pictures, and I actually do have a witness. I'm sorry, they just arrived. They're pictures, and they're also petitions, counter petitions.
Okay, well, the actual motions,
This is where I requested a continuance. I hired Mr. Johnson on.
Judge, we're still off the record, correct?
Yes. Let me stick to the issue. Do you want to put the pictures, whatever you're seeking to introduce before we go back on the record? And if you want to hold them up to the camera on the computer, and certainly Ms. Donica can look at them. I'm not going to look at them at this point.
Okay. I mean, yeah, I can do that. However, whatever I have to do to have them seen.
Yes, just literally hold them up to the screen.
Okay.
Kind of like holding this docket sheet up,
Yes, sir. This first one is a summary of care from when he went to go see the food and allergy specialist at Children's. And it has all of the information stating what was found and everything else, and the directions given afterwards.
Objection, hearsay.
And we're not on the record still.
Yeah, we're not.
Oh, sorry.
I'm letting her just show them to you. So
Gotcha. All right, I'm sorry.
I'm not looking at them.
And that's like the instruction to give cow's milk. And then the next exhibit is where he specifically says that he is not going to give him raw milk, even after the doctor said that's what needs to be done. My next exhibit is just where Mr. Jones, I'm sorry, is constantly, their text messages asking what he's gotten into, basically like bug bites and everything else. He's a kid, bug bites and bumps happen. Then another one where he was harassing me about a diaper rash, and then I have pictures that Mr. Jones sent me that show no diaper rash at all. And then I have pictures of Memphis at home with us, where he is perfectly happy. Him being a little boy playing in the mud. I have pictures of my home, several of them. Of every room in the house. Including the restrooms. I also have a picture of the goat's home that is not in my house. I have pictures of the outside of the shop, pictures of the inside of the shop, another outside picture, and another inside picture. As far as evidence, those are the photos and the text messages I have. Everything else, they're either motions, petitions, or counter petitions.
Well, the judge would have all of those.
Yeah, I've got the motions, so I'm not too concerned about, I mean, sometimes somebody will offer to have something admitted, a motion or an order, but as far as those, I have them in the court's file.
Okay.
Did you say you had a witness or witnesses to call or not?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, I'm sorry. Yes, sir. I do have a witness.
Well, let's go ahead and do that, and then we'll go to the exhibits. I don't know if Ms. Donica was able to look at those exhibits, but we'll come back to that here in a moment. So we'll come back out of recess, and you may call your first witness.
Okay. Do you want me to just move and have her sit here?
That's fine.
Because she's here.
Okay.
Okay.
You ask me questions.
So you're calling Carol Wade, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, ma'am, do you want to raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you give in this case will be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
You may proceed.
Ms. Wade, a few weeks ago, we were speaking and you asked me to send you pictures of my home. I sent those pictures. Did you receive them?
Yes.
And did it appear to be safe for your standards for a child?
I didn't see a problem with the pictures.
Okay. My children have been seeing you for about a year now. Has there ever been any type of concerning issue when it comes to me being a parent or the safety of
I'm sorry, objection leading, and also objection, I know that Ms. Wright has not done a custody evaluation, so offering that testimony would be improper under the family code.
I'll sustain. Can you rephrase?
It's okay. Just rephrase the question.
Have you ever seen any concerns?
No, not that I have seen.
Okay, I have no further questions.
Ms. Donica, any questions of this witness?
Yes, Judge. How many times have you seen, what name is she using? Is it Easley or Fincher or Carpenter?
I know her as Carpenter.
And how many times have you seen her?
Her without the children?
Do you see her with the children or without the children? I'm not sure what your relationship is.
Well, I'm the counselor for the children. I have seen her when she has brought the children to my office, and that was actually prior to COVID. During COVID, I did a couple of telepsych visits, and not probably about last month, her older daughter started to see me for some issues, but it has always been she who does bring them to counseling when they come. So I've seen her, and I've seen her then, not personally.
All right. I'm going to share a screen with you, Ms. Wright, and I want you to look at some pictures. Hold on one second. Sorry, I'm so crummy at this. All right, can you see a picture of a vehicle?
Yes.
And how about a dog here with a fish hook in the home? Can you see that?
Yes.
And did these look like a home suitable for a 1-year-old?
No.
Then I want to show you another. How about this? If I were to tell you that this is where the child's diapers are kept in Miss Carpenter's home, would that look suitable?
Where, in the blue thing?
Yes.
No.
And you see this car that's up on jacks here where the child's diapers are kept?
No. That's not suitable.
How about having a baby seat, the baby's seat here strapped up on top of the dog cage? How about that?
That's a problem.
And would it surprise you to know that these are all pictures of Miss Fincher's home?
Yes, yes, that would surprise me.
And would you agree, if this is how her home looked in February, March, April, and May, that that's not an appropriate place to have a 1-year-old?
I would agree.
Pass witness.
Ms. Fincher, do you have any further questions of this witness?
Yes, sir, I do.
Okay.
Miss Wade, when and where do you see the baby? Memphis.
I've seen, when I have seen Memphis, he has been at his paternal grandmother's house. I'm the therapist for her foster children, and I make home visits there. So most of the time when I go, Memphis is there with his paternal grandmother, with William's mother. It's where I see Memphis.
Okay, I guess my next question would be for you, Judge, if that's okay?
A question for me?
Yes, sir.
What's the question?
Could I request a custody evaluation?
Well, we're not to that point, ma'am, but I mean, I'm not saying you can't, but you need to continue your questions of this witness.
Okay, I have no further questions.
Okay. Ms. Donica, any further questions?
I don't, Judge. And I'd even spoken with Ms. Wright about the possibility of doing a custody eval, but when I learned that she was the therapist for that, that it wouldn't be, I don't think she would be able to do that or would want to do it under these circumstances. She's, I guess, basically involved with both sides of the family, of Memphis's family. So That's the reason that we changed our request to asking for an amicus, if the court thinks that that's needed or would be helpful.
Okay. Yeah, and that does come problematic, Ms. Fincher, when Ms. Wright's already been involved in this case in a different.
Oh, yes, sir. I'm not requesting.
And I will tell you this, I have utmost confidence in her work, but her prior work makes it an issue for her. So.
Here, she's talking.
Yes, sir. I wouldn't request for her to do it. I just would request court and custody evaluation.
Yes. Okay. And we'll get to that point here in a moment. And all right. Is Miss Wright free to go?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Ms. Donica, do you have any? You said you had no other questions.
Nothing further, Judge.
Okay, ma'am, you're free to go. Or you can stay too, but you are also free.
I'll stay with her. Thank you.
Okay. All right. All right. Ms. Fincher, I'll turn it back over to you. And do you have any other witnesses to call or testimony to give? I mean, I know we went through a lot of stuff on the exhibits, and Ms. Donica, ma'am, do you have those exhibits labeled first of all, like one through whatever?
Yes, sir, I do. They have labels on them.
Okay. Ms. Donica, would it be easier if those were somehow sent to you right now so you could look at them? Or do you have I think I understood.
Judge, would you like me to, the only thing I can think of to do you have copies of them, ma'am?
Just my original copies. I haven't made any other copies.
The only thing I could think of to do.
Can I email them?
Do you have them in an email?
I'm sorry.
You have them on an email?
Yes, I do have them on an email.
Can you email those to her right? Well, let's go off the record so Leslie doesn't keep taking all this down. Can you email them as they were that you just pulled up earlier to her?
I can make a valid attempt, but they have, like, when I've been sending them through the email, they've like been mixing up, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Like, I'll download the picture and then I'll download another one and they'll just jump around.
What I think what I'm going to do, if it'll make it may make it easier, I'm going to get the exhibits. Shelley, can you take those exhibits to Melissa and let her scan them and email them to Miss Donica directly?
Or I can send somebody over to get copies of them, Judge. Either way.
Well, I'll just have her do that. And that way I'm not seeing them.
Got it.
Until they've been offered and possibly admitted.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, I thought that, yeah, I know that we were no longer receiving exhibits prior to hearings. So that's what
You know, is Miss Wright still there, Judge? Because I'm going to have a couple of questions for her.
It sounded like she was staying.
Yes, she's still here.
Okay. I think Shelley's getting those exhibits now and taking them to Melissa to scan and.
Do you want me to scan each one individually, or do you want them all in one? What would be the best? It's going to take me some time if I need to do them individually, which I don't mind, but I just wanted to ask.
And Miss Donica, what's is it good if they just come all in one attachment?
Sure, that's fine.
Okay.
I scanned and sent them to Carrie, Ashley, Josue, and Lori.
Thank you. I'm looking right now on my screen. You can tell that's why I'm leaned in here. There it is. Hmm. I'm just looking. See. I think so. What's going on? Oh my God, I guess I'm locked out. Oh no, there it is. Sorry, I'm just minimize. Am I muted? Yeah, I'm muted. I think. Yes, I'm muted. I don't know. Oh, hold on. Judge, I don't really have an objection to any of them except the requested relief that was obviously prepared by Mr. Johnson.
Do y'all want to go back on the record?
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
We'll come out of recess and, so Ms. Donica, you said you had no objection to the exhibits
Other than to set a time frame on all of them, Judge. I don't know when any of the photographs were taken. I don't know when the text message exchanges are. I don't have a timeline for any of that.
Okay. So you're objecting to him, or would you like to take her on cross?
Yeah, if I could ask the witness a couple of questions about the Miss. What name do you prefer to be called, ma'am?
I'm Carpenter. I'm legally Carpenter.
Okay. So, Miss Carpenter, when did you take these photographs in your home?
I can give you the exact date. My previous attorney asked me to take them to send to him. They were taken Tuesday.
So this
soon as he
week.
requested them. Yes, ma'am. I actually had other ones that I didn't have in here that I had sent to Miss Wade that were taken previous to that.
And then the text messages, when are those?
On R2, it has the dates and the times on them.
Gotcha.
R3, it does as well.
R4 does.
I can look at R5 and tell you.
That's all right. I don't have any objection to them.
Okay, they'll be admitted.
And then the other pictures of Memphis, those have just been taken, you always take pictures of your baby, so. The one playing in the mud was here recently.
So the only one I object to is the one that was prepared by Mr. Johnson.
I'll note that I'll overrule. I mean, it's her exhibit now. It's no longer. I understand what you're saying, but if she's adopting, if that's her exhibit, that's hers.
Right. Well, and she's testified that she was instructed by Mr. Johnson to get photos as well. So I'll just, and the first one is hearsay, but I don't care. So I don't have any objection.
They're admitted.
What are those numbers?
Oh, yes. Miss Carpenter, are they 1 through, how are they numbered?
The one that was done by Mr. Johnson is R110.
Okay.
And then there are R1 through R4, R5, R6, R7, 8. Through 20.
Okay.
1 through 20.
All right. Thank you. Ms. Carpenter, do you have any question, any testimony? You've got these exhibits admitted. Do you have any testimony to give?
I do.
Let me go and get you to raise your right hand then. Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you give in this case will be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, sir.
All right, you may proceed.
As far as the exhibits go, I mean, you can see in the pictures that our home is clean. The pictures that were submitted by Mr. Jones, the ones outside, those are outside, those aren't in my home. He does not have access to that unless I walk him through there. There was trash. But you also saw pictures of our puppies. They do tend to tear up the trash. Trash pickup is on Monday. Those puppies are no longer in the house. We had just purchased them. They have a big outside fence. As far as the goat, Fancy will run through that door as quick as she possibly can. But I also submitted a photo that she has her own little house that's fenced in. She doesn't live in the house. We do not have any pigs. The one animal that we have in the house is a 2-pound miniature dachshund. So it's not like we have animals running rampant. I'm sorry, we do have 3 baby chickens that keep escaping from the chicken coop. So they are, I do believe that one of my pictures shows where the chickens are. And they will actually be moved out as soon as they're large enough. Okay, I guess that didn't, but they're in a 250-gallon aquarium, so they're not just running through the house rampant. They're closed up in a chicken coop thing. So we don't have animals just running wild through the house like it was made to be. Yes, that shop was a mess. My spouse is a body man. He does do body work. But like I said, there is a lock door that has 2 locks on it that Memphis does not go out of, cannot get out of unless I open the door and take him out himself. So that, we don't live there. That was false information. As far as the doctor visit, Memphis was scheduled for a food and allergy after I weaned him from breast milk because I had given him whole milk at one point in time, and he threw up everywhere, and it caused him to have a Hy-Vee type reaction wherever the milk touched his skin. We went for 2 visits, and in there instructed that he did not have an allergy to it, and to give him cow's milk so that he can become more accustomed to it. And Mr. Jones stated that he will not give him cow's milk because of the reaction that he had prior to the testing. And then Exhibit R4 is just an example of, I consider it the harassment that I go through with him constantly. He's always questioning any bump, bruise, mosquito bite, or anything of that nature. And I also had him attach pictures for the supposed rash. There was no rash, none whatsoever. I change my son's diapers constantly. He's always clean, very well taken care of. Exhibit R5 is where he's asking about a blister that was on his toe. The doctor has told us before that it was a friction blister at one point.
Objection, hearsay.
Also saying as to what the doctor said.
Okay. Memphis has had those before. We both found out that it was a friction, you know, from like his little feet either rubbing up against the side of his car seat or whatever the case may be, whatever friction he was causing. So it wasn't something that I have done. R6 and R5, which is the one with Memphis playing in the mud, that's just to show that he's always happy when he's with us. He's very well taken care of, very loved. He's got 3 older biological siblings that love him dearly, and would be lost without him. And as far as all the people that live in the house, there are myself, my 4 children, my spouse, and every Monday and Tuesday and every other week, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, we have his 3 children. Everyone has their own bed, their own rooms. Everything is basically up to CPS standards or the state guidelines when it comes to children per room per age. I'm not really sure what else I need to say or do. I mean, I do request the custody evaluation just so that I can prove that I am a fit mother. I've never been an unfit mother. This has never been an issue with any of my other children either.
Okay, anything further before I turn you over to Ms. Donica?
Memphis is up to date on all of his shots. We go to all his doctor's appointments. I mean, there's nothing questionable about my parenting. But other than that, no.
Ms. Donica?
So, Ms. Carpenter, you did post on Facebook that you lived in a petting zoo, correct?
Correct.
And you did post that your 1-year-old was eating out of the trash can, correct?
Yes, he dumped the trash can over, and my trash can actually has a lock on it. He dumped it over, the lock opened, and he grabbed a piece of cake that one of the kids had just thrown in there.
And while this is happening, you said Fancy the goat jumps on your desk and walks across your keyboard.
Yes. One of my children had opened the door, and she.
And then you said, ma'am, if you'll just answer my questions. And then you said 7 kids, 1 man-child, 1 goat, 1 cat, 1 bearded dragon, 8 puppies, and 4 dogs. Correct?
Correct.
Admission to my petting zoo is $10 per person. Bring food if you don't want to be bitten. Correct?
Correct.
And you've also posted pictures of a pig living in your house, haven't you? An actual pig.
A mini pig, yes.
And then we throw in some chickens.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't contradict that those are pictures, that the pictures that Will introduced are pictures of the way that this place looked prior to you getting served with this lawsuit. Would you agree with that?
No.
So you don't think those pictures are accurate?
Not at all times, no. There are days that, yes, the dogs get into the trash and they scatter the trash everywhere.
Well, and then we've got diapers right beside a jacked up car, don't we?
Actually, that was giveaway stuff. That whole box and that box of diapers were things that were to be taken to the Salvation Army. That's why they were not in the house.
And that looks like a pretty dangerous area, doesn't it?
No, my children don't go out there. That's not the place for children. That is a shop where he works and his brother works.
And how about the picture of and so Memphis's bed is in the bedroom with you and you call him your spouse. Is he your spouse?
Yes.
All right. When were you married?
You don't have to be married to have a spouse. A spouse is someone that you are in a relationship with. It doesn't mean marriage. I didn't say he was my husband. I said he was my spouse.
So the word spouse to you doesn't mean you're married?
No.
So you would agree that you're not married to Mr. Hannah?
Not legally, no. Common law, yes, because we've lived together since before I even had Memphis.
So that's what determines whether or not somebody's married? Is if they live together?
No, marriage is when you go to a courthouse and you get a marriage license and you get married. We're not married.
And so is it your testimony that when Will asks you a question about Memphis, or if Memphis is hurt or something is wrong with him, that is harassing?
It does get to where it is harassing, yes. If he has an accident or something and if he has a huge bruise on his head or something like that, yes, by all means, ask me what happened. But just because he has a bug bite, we live in Texas and mosquitoes are gigantic. I'm sorry, I can't prevent all bug bites. I can't prevent bruises. He's a 15-month-old little boy.
No, ma'am. In that area where you live, it would be very hard to prevent injury, wouldn't it?
Actually, he's never been hurt with me.
Would you agree that you and your spouse, if you will, Mr. Hannah, offered one of your children $100 to hit another child in the face at a softball game?
No, I will not agree to that.
Okay. So you didn't acknowledge to Will that you and Cody Hanna had offered the child $100 to hit another child?
That is not what was said.
Okay, well, what was said?
Will and I were talking about an issue that had happened between my child and Casey Johnson's child at a softball game. Cody was joking around, and I'm not really sure. First, hold on, I object to this because this is not even relevant to this case.
I'll overrule. I'll give Ms. Tonka a little latitude.
Okay, Cody was joking around with one of his children, not mine, and stated that he would give his daughter $100 if he punched the little girl that was bullying her in the face. Didn't ask her to do it at a softball game or anything else. Just said, just punch her in the face and I'll give you $100. It was a joke. He immediately stated that it was a joke. He said, I'm just joking. Don't do that. That's not okay. You know, bullying is not okay, whatever the case may be.
So then what happened was that your daughter hit the girl punched the girl in the face.
Yes.
Is that right?
My daughter punched the girl in the face because she was tired of her bullying several other kids at school. This has been investigated by the sheriff's department and the school, and they found that nothing would come of it because the little girl is a bully. Could my daughter have handled it differently?
So at your house, we teach children to punch people in the face for what we perceive as being their behavior.
No.
Did y'all give her $100?
No, she did not.
Matter of fact, you said she didn't get 100 because she didn't hit her hard enough. Is that correct?
No.
And what did you tell Miss Johnson when she called you?
First, I asked her who she was because I didn't know who it was on my phone. Then she asked me why my daughter punched her in the face, and I told her probably because your daughter is a bully.
And you told her she was going to be next, right? You told Miss Johnson you're going to be next.
Then Miss Johnson continued to call my children out of their names, call them little shits, liars, and everything else. And I told her if she didn't come back, we would come back to the game and we could talk about it then.
So is it your testimony that you did not tell Miss Johnson that she would be next?
No, I did not say she will be next.
Okay. You would agree that Will is an excellent father, wouldn't you?
He is a pretty good dad. Yeah, I'll give him that.
And you would agree that he takes very good care of Memphis.
To an extent, I'll agree to that. Some of the places that he takes him, I do not agree with. He should not be at a biker rally where there are people smoking weed and drinking. So, yeah, there's always that.
Well, Miss Carpenter, you've got beer out all over your house, don't you?
I don't drink. I haven't drank in months.
Somebody at your house does.
Yeah, somebody does, but not me.
Well, it still allows your children to be around it. Would you agree?
Yes, drinking is one thing. It's okay.
When was it that Mr. Jones took the child to a biker rally?
It was April or May. It was a Chandler's party. He was there with Memphis. We had pulled up and
the Chandler's party?
Yeah.
Out at the Chandler's house that I was at and saw Will and Memphis there?
Yes, sir.
That biker rally?
Yeah.
Where there was barbecue?
And weed. There's marijuana. The child does not need to be around marijuana, period. I don't care where.
You saw marijuana there? Because I didn't see marijuana there.
Yes, I did.
Carpenter.
Yes, I did.
Well, there were a bunch of parents and a bunch of children, weren't there?
Those weren't my my children, so not my problem, not my concern.
And did you see somebody on a motorcycle?
Several people.
And who were you there with, Miss Carpenter?
Cody.
And
Cody's daughter.
Oh, and a child.
Yes, and a child. Once we saw the weed, we left. We were not there for that long.
And as a matter of fact, Will left just as you arrived, didn't he?
Yeah, we were trying to, when I was told Will's here with Memphis, I was attempting to get over there because I was going to ask him, what are you doing here with Memphis? But he was hightailed it to his car and was gone before we could even park.
Doesn't sound like he's trying to harass you too much, does it, Miss Carpenter?
Not then, no, he was trying to run, I'm going to assume.
So the only child that was there was one of Cody's children. Is that your testimony?
I think she had a friend with her. I don't remember it. I'm pretty sure she had a friend. I don't remember the friend's name or which one it was. Wait, let me make sure I'm getting that right. Are you asking about children with me or children there in general?
With you.
Okay, yes.
And who was driving?
Cody drove there, had a few beers, and I drove when we left.
You don't get along very well with your other children's families, do you?
Actually, yes, I do. My ex-mother-in-law is still very, very active.
So how about Mr. Carpenter and his wife?
Oh, no, we don't speak.
Matter of fact, you call the cops on him all the time, don't you?
I've called the police on him once in the 15 years I've known him.
So it's your testimony that you've only called the cops once on Mr. Carpenter? Because Miss Carpenter's here.
Yes, I've called the police on him one time in the whole time we were married.
I'm talking about since you've been divorced.
No, I'm sorry. In the whole 15 years I've known him, I have called the police on him one time. That was Christmas Eve of 2020.
I'll pass the witness.
Carpenter, any other question, any other testimony?
Yes.
Okay.
In our last court date, it was in February 3rd of 2021, it was ordered that Mr. Jones pay $300 a month in child support per his request. While we were in court, I stated that it was not about the money. I was not looking for child support. As long as he continued to do the things that he was doing for our son, that's all that mattered, which was seeing him regularly, helping out doctor's appointments, and he was buying diapers and wipes at the time. Since that hearing, I've received diapers and wipes once, and we have received no child support for Memphis. So now he's requesting full custody, but isn't even sticking up to his legal obligations when it comes to his child.
Anything further?
No, sir.
Any cross?
No.
Any other witnesses, Miss Carpenter?
No, sir.
Any rebuttal, Miss Donica?
Yeah, I briefly recall Mr. Jones, Judge.
All right, Mr. Jones, you're still under oath. You may proceed.
Was the party that she's referencing at the Chandler's house was that a biker rally?
No, ma'am.
And was did you see anyone smoking marijuana?
No, ma'am.
And were there many children there? Is that a yes?
Yes.
And do you know who all was with Miss Carpenter?
From what I seen as me and Memphis were leaving was her, Cody, and it seemed like a couple other kids in the back, and Cody's oldest daughter was driving the vehicle at that time.
And how old is she?
14, 15?
I'm sorry.
Either 14 or 15.
So not legally able to drive.
Correct.
So when Ms. Carpenter testified under oath that Mr. Hannah was driving, that was not true.
Correct.
Has Mr. Hicks ever been to the barn dominium?
Yes, once when he went with me to, I think we dropped off Memphis at that time.
So he was able to observe what this home looked like. Yes?
Yes.
I'm sorry. It's sometimes the mic just doesn't pick you up. And have you ever seen the house in the condition that she's got it in now that you filed this?
Never.
And you've seen these rooms before?
Yes. From the time I've known Amanda, her home has never been clean. From when she lived at Winvale Apartments, around the time that I found out that she was pregnant, her mom actually hired someone to come clean up her apartment because it was so bad. There was rotten food found under the couch and in the cushions of the couch. And then once she moved November of 2019 out to where her grandpa's ranch house is, every time I've been out there, the house has been basically in the same condition.
Pass the witness.
Any questions, Ms. Carpenter?
Not for that witness, no.
All right. Okay. Any other witnesses?
Can I go back to myself?
Ms. Donica, no other witnesses?
Can I have just 1 minute, Judge?
Yes.
Sorry. Sorry, I walked out and it's on YouTube, but it's on delay. YouTube is on delay. Yes, I would like to call Jessica Carpenter.
Okay. All right, ma'am, if you could raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you give in this case will be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
All right, you may proceed.
Tell the court your name.
Jessica Carpenter.
And do you know the parties to this case, Ms. Carpenter?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
And you are in fact married to Mr. Carpenter, who was formerly married to Amanda Carpenter. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And have you ever been to the home where Miss Carpenter and Mr. Hannah live?
Yes, ma'am, I have.
And tell the court what, if anything, you observed about the condition of that home.
When they opened the door, I seen trash from the inside of the kitchen on up. They said the little boy had not taken it out yet. So I removed myself and went back outside because it was really dirty.
So
I
the
just
house
removed myself.
the house was not in good condition then?
No, ma'am. And the
And when was
outside had a lot of scrap metal and stuff like cars were being worked on and animals. There was, I believe it was a pig at that time. I know they have a few dogs.
I object.
What's your objection, ma'am?
She has never been inside of my home. She has been to the shop, but she has never set foot through the front door of my home.
Okay, ma'am, that's not really a legal objection. I'll overrule. You'll have an opportunity to cross-examine her.
So you were actually able to see inside the home?
Yes, ma'am. I don't remember if it was Kylie or Kinsley. They said, come back here and look. They had some friends over. Cody's daughter had some friends over at that time. I walked just briefly inside, looked to my left where there was trash and walked back out.
Pass the witness.
Ms. Carpenter, do you have any questions of this witness?
Yes. At what date did you go into the home?
I don't remember the exact date. I was going to pick up the girls though. You weren't there. You were not present.
Are you sure I wasn't present?
I'm sure.
So how many times have you been to the home?
There's been a couple where I've dropped off Kinsley or Kylie. There's been a few now, actually, probably 3.
Your Honor, I don't know how to put this because I'm not an attorney, but she's under oath and that is not truthful.
Okay, ma'am.
Been there one time.
Okay, you can continue your cross, and that's all I can tell you.
So you've known my children for how long now?
8 years.
Has there, in your opinion, has there ever been any neglect towards them?
Yes, ma'am.
What type of neglect?
They basically stay with my mother-in-law. They're always there. If not, they're with her pawpaw. Mackenzie, I just seen her this week. She had bug bites all over her. Said it was eczema, but it was definitely bug bites. There's been a few things that I've witnessed that I would consider neglect because I always have my children. So.
Okay. Next question. Are you a doctor?
No, but I do know bug bites.
Are you a doctor?
No.
Okay, so medically, you cannot say if those were or were not bug bites, can you?
No, but me and the mother-in-law definitely agreed there were bug bites.
Neither of you are doctors, so that's irrelevant because she does have eczema and she goes to the doctor regularly. I'm done with this
question.
Okay, any other questions of this witness?
No, sir.
Ms. Donna?
No more questions of this witness.
Okay, you're free to go, ma'am.
I called Dee Dee Hicks, just briefly.
You're still under oath. You may ask your questions.
Your name is still Doan Dee Dee Hicks, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And have you ever been with Will to the barn dominium has been referenced where Miss Carpenter and her boyfriend reside?
Yes, only once though. We're dropping off in Memphis.
And did you see? You didn't go inside, is that correct?
No, ma'am. We just pulled up and I actually stayed in the car. I just saw the outside.
And what did the outside look like?
it wasn't very well kept. I mean, there were dogs that were in a pen, but I was confused when we were driving up that road because it didn't seem like a house. I know people live in barndominiums. I've seen several examples of those, but it seemed like more of a workshop by the way it was kept than, a domicile or home.
Was it in poor condition or good condition?
It wasn't in good condition.
It was not?
No, not from what I observed from where I was.
I'll pass the witness.
Em, do you have any questions of this witness?
No, sir.
All right.
We
You may-
rest, Judge.
Okay. So I believe that concludes the rebuttal. Ms. Carpenter, did you state, I thought you said earlier you had another witness or someone to call, but I could have mistaken that.
Not another witness, just myself. Just have
Okay.
something to say.
Okay, you may resume. I mean, you may continue.
So the outside of the property, yes, there's junk cars and everything else. That is a family-owned property. Therefore, there's another house that has 2 other people living in it, which would be Cody Hanna's dad, Danny Hanna Sr., and his brother, Danny Hanna Jr. Both of which have access to the property from the front to the back, all the way down to the lake. So some of the things there do not belong to us, and they are outside. They are in no direct danger to my son. They are outside. Junk cars, things like that. They are doing they own a business doing seawall repair. So there's seawall repair things and everything else like that. So the stuff outside, that can't be put solely on us because it is not ours. It's a family-owned property.
Okay. Anything further, Ms. Tonica?
Yeah, they don't, Danny Hanna doesn't come inside and trash out your house, does he? That's just you and Mr. Hanna and Cody Hanna, right?
Actually, Danny Hanna Jr., the picture of the car on the jack and all that stuff, that was his inside the shop. Yes, ma'am, that was his.
And you said that's just fine to have that backed up here with my children all here.
My children aren't in the shop playing. It is a shop where people work.
Are you permitted to have unrelated overnight guests in the home with the Carpenter children?
I'm not sure. I haven't looked at our divorce decree since we were divorced in 2012. He doesn't have.
So if it says no unrelated overnight guests, you would be in violation of that, correct?
I'm gonna assume so.
I'll pass the witness.
No, sir.
All right, I'll take closing arguments. Ms. Tonica, you may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. We've requested the relief that we want, which is, I think obviously we need someone involved in this case, and it appears extremely apparent that Ms. Carpenter isn't able to provide this 1-year-old with a safe environment. And until such time as we can have somebody determine that she's able to do so, we'd ask that, first of all, her possession doesn't need to be out there, period. In that house, that it's just unacceptable for any child, but particularly for a small child. And, when we say that children don't go out into the shop, I mean, as parents, we all know that sometimes children go not where we tell them they can go. I appreciate that after this lawsuit arose that, I'm guessing somebody was hired to go out there and because that had to take a lot of work to get it from where it was to where it is to, or where it is today. And I think she's very aware of what the problem was and the reason for Will's concern about his son being out there in that environment. And that's what we're asking the court to remedy that for the safety of Memphis.
Thank you. Ms. Carpenter?
I'm just requesting that my son stay in my possession with the current orders that we have, with the request of a custody evaluation. Clearly, there's never been any injuries to my son. He's always been very well taken care of. He's got sisters that, again, they love him dearly. They don't want to see him gone. You know, they're a big part of his life as he is theirs. And we're just requesting that the things stay the same, other than the orders, the requests that were previously submitted.
Is there are there orders currently in effect?
There's not, Judge.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
that's what I thought, other than the, okay. I'd like to get the exhibits so I can review them and hopefully have a ruling by the end of the day on this case.
Sir, there already are orders in effect.
No, there's not.
They were signed off on in March. You signed off on them yourself. We went to court February 3rd. They were temporary orders. I have them here.
What I'll do is I'll look at the court's file. That will help me. But, I'll just need to get the exhibit. I think the bailiff can come get the exhibits, the originals. All right, that concludes this hearing.
I'm going to go. I assume that we're going to do
Yes,
Owen next, Judge. I'm going to go change out my clients. All right.
that's good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Rock.
Okay, you're unmuted.
Thank you.
I'll get my best.
Is anybody else expected
Well, you had
today?
You had a 1 o'clock. I'm probably gonna have to
Yeah, okay.
call and reschedule.
Well, we'll see. Let's see how far we get in this. I mean, hopefully he'll work this through lunch. I hope and just get it done.
Okay.
That's my prayer.
If the 1 o'clock shows, we'll just let them know that you're still in the hearing.
If what now?
If the 1 o'clock shows, we'll just tell them you're still in the hearing.
Yeah, they can wait. Is that your ex, Rebecca?
No.
Who's that?
That's a Photoshop picture of Carrie Donegan.
Melissa, is that your ex?
No, the Rebecca Ratliff in the right corner.
Okay, she is. Okay.
I'm sorry, I thought you read me the picture.
All right, let me change files here real quickly.
All right. We will go and call some 13-22210-CB in the interest of Isaac Owen, Isabella Owen, and Faith Owen children. I have parties present, council present. This is a motion to modify and a motion to enforce. Is that correct?
That's correct, Your Honor.
Okay.
If I could bring the court to the attention of at least one item, Ms. Donica did file a counter petition motion to modify yesterday at 3:32 p.m. Asking for child support for a child that is, she says, has special needs. I just want to make sure that it's clear that that is not being heard today, that will be at a later date and time, because proper discovery obviously will need to be done.
Of course. I'm not having it heard today. I wouldn't have filed it yesterday to be heard today.
Okay. Yeah.
All right. Obviously, these motions, modified motion to enforce, they're different motions, but can we take them up at the same time? Or
That's how I've prepared, Your Honor.
Okay.
That's exactly how I've prepared.
Okay. Whose motion, what do we want to take up first then, even though we're taking them up at the same time?
If we'll take them up at the same time, I've got everything just laid right out on 6 exhibits that will obviously be filed before the day is out with the district clerk's office, because I understand that's the procedure that you use. But if you want me to just go ahead, I'm ready to go right ahead and lay it all out, because Mrs. Donica knows that. We've had some communications in January of this year attempting to get things resolved, and unfortunately we weren't able to.
Well, I've kind of got my stuff all laid out. So I don't mind him going first, but mine has been pending for a heck of a long time. But again, I don't mind Mr. Malios going first, but.
Well, let's take opening statements on Mr. Malios's motion to modify, then I'll take up opening statements on Ms. Donica's motion for enforcement. Then that way we've done both of them at the top, and we'll go from there.
Your Honor, if I might, all this got started and I got involved. I'm not sure if it was late in the fall of 2020. But in any event, once I finally got involved and I saw that there was this contempt action, and then I knew that we were in COVID times, I went ahead and did an investigation with the client to find out what his ability was to actually pay the current child support that had been ordered of approximately $720 or $40 or $50. Plus, I believe he has to reimburse $210 or $20 or $30 of medical insurance for the mother. Once we did that, I did file the motion to modify. And what I did was I went ahead and I insisted that Mr. Owen do a spreadsheet of his business, because obviously a spreadsheet of one's business will sit down and show clearly and unequivocally what income and expenses are being paid. Much to my amazement, once I received this, I did 2 actual letters to Mrs. Donica, which you will actually see as exhibits. One, which will be my exhibit number 2, dealt specifically with child support, and you'll sit down and see all the exhibits that I attached to show where the Attorney General's office had not laid out proper credits that should have been given, because my actually very first exhibit will be the Attorney General's office own a statement of accounts as of April of 2021. And so we filed the motion to modify. I went ahead and forwarded that my letter to Donica and just basically laid out the entire spreadsheet of the business from January of 2020 to I think January or February of 2021. Not only did I lay out the spreadsheet, I actually undertook to analyze it very carefully, dollars and cents, to show precisely what was being brought in and what the expenses were of the business. What amazed me the most, Your Honor, which I could not believe, is that Mr. Owens has, okay, what the evidence will establish is that Mr. Owens has been paying directly the child support from the corporation directly to the AG's office, as opposed to obtaining what we call a net income. Okay. And normally what happens is if you have a business and you pay your expenses or employees, that's fine. So I believe that you will find in my exhibit, which will be exhibit number 5, which is a very detailed letter sent to Miss Donica back on January 28th, 2021, along with an attachment of the spreadsheet, the very reason why we filed the motion to modify downward in terms of the amount of support. And then hopefully the other attendant documents I will show, or give the court, will show not only that we are paid in full with regard to this issue of child support, there actually should be a surplus, an overpayment of credit of close to $9,000 or $10,000. The only additional comment I would make is for an opening are there are other things that Mrs. Donica has addressed and that are not really properly before the court. And what I would do is cite the court, for example, to Chapter 9 of the Texas Family Code. One of the things that she has requested is there were a bunch of little items that people did not give back to each other after there had been this agreement where they had actually entered into an agreement and then gotten the decree of divorce entered. Okay. And what happened was you'll note, Judge, that the court actually executed the decree of divorce on November 15th of 2016. Ms. Donica files her only motion for contempt on August 26, 2019, more than 2 years after the date. That is significant because if you get the family code and you go to Section 9 of the family code, it simply indicates a suit to enforce the division of tangible personal problem, these items that they're requesting, and the existence at the time of decree of divorce or annulment must be filed before the second anniversary of the date the decree was signed. That was never done. There's another actual case on point. It's called the case of Morales versus Morales. that is cited as 195 Southwest 3rd, 188. And actually, there was a heading number 4 on the divorce decree. The appellate court out of San Antonio said the exact same thing. So we don't waste time. I'm hoping that the court will simply set aside that part of the enforcement. In addition, there is a second issue with regard to Mrs. Donica's pleadings, which were filed with the court back in August of 2019. She's going to attempt, and we will be objecting to any discussions regarding non-payments of medical bills. And there's a very specific reason for that, Your Honor. Under the family code, especially dealing with 157.002 relating to enforcement, a movant is required to plead with a degree of specificity the exact thing that my client did not do. That's called due process. And since Mrs. Donica has requested jail time for all this, then that's required to be done. If you'll look at her pleadings indicate on page 2 that there was this 50%, by the way, Father, if insurance doesn't cover certain items or bills, then you've got to go ahead and cover 50% of that. And she also alleges that on page 3. And then on page 4, unbelievably, what she does is she sits down and says, for example, with regard to a Dr. Taft's bill, she says he was supposed to reimburse bills from May 3rd. This is from her pleading, May 3rd, 2013. And of course, the decree of divorce wasn't signed till 16 through June 31st, 2016. The problem with that is, Your Honor, there are statutes of limitations with regard to being able to sit down and enforce debts. It's a 4-year statute of limitations. Okay, that's number one. Number two, there's no degree of specificity. And I would give or cite the court to a very important case with regard to the degree of specificity on non-payment of these medical bills that insurance did not cover. It's the case of ex parte Clarence. It was decided by the Beaumont Court of Appeals. The site on this court is 926 Southwest 2nd, 622. The holding in that court really lays it out, because what's interesting is on the page 623, the court goes through what is required, what has to be pled in a pleading for due process. And if I might just, I'm sorry this is boring, but I really want you to understand the basis of this objection. The respondents failed to comply with the orders described above. And now what they did in the pleading when they served them is they laid out a violation. They said, violation 6, the movant, Sonia Denise Arnold, has presented receipts for medical expenses to the respondent, Kevin Clarence Arnold, for reimbursement, and respondent has refused and continues to refuse to reimburse the movant. The medical bills outstanding are as follows. Now, this is written in the pleading because the appellate court quotes the pleading. It says, A, the Children's Clinic of East Texas, Brandon, for $35. Notice was given by CMRR, and then it's got a certified mail number and postmarked 9/11/95. Okay, so it places a person on notice of the exact bill. Mother paid X amount of dollars, and mother's asking for a reimbursement, and you're placed on notice. That has to be alleged. Nowhere that was alleged. Now, if she wants to later at some point in time clean that up and file a new enforcement action because that's properly been done, that's fine. But I'm trying to sit down as a matter of housekeeping and letting the court know of our objection if that's brought up. Finally, the last thing the court needs to be aware of is there is an objection with regard to the notice of the hearing on the contempt action. Now, why is that? Well, I actually had to make a trip to the courthouse, Your Honor. In fact, you actually saw me that day. I put my head in to go to the district clerk's office to find out when this motion was filed, what actual service occurred. And the clerk and I, after we went through the entire file, determined there was only one service, which was the original service for late August or September of 2019. The problem with that is this has been reset multiple of times, as you can see on the docket sheet, okay? And you are required to sit down and serve a defendant or a respondent with notice within 10 days. And that is the requirement of section 157.062. And it says, when you file a motion for enforcement, it has to be within the 10th day service before the date of the hearing. There is another case directly on point on that, which is in Ray Heathcox, that was decided by the Texas Appellate Court in Texarkana. The actual citation is 981 Southwest 2nd 422. If you will just bear patience with me, Your Honor, it says, the obvious purpose of 157.062B or D is to allow respondent extra time to answer and prepare for a hearing when a new claim has been enjoined with a motion for enforcement. The petitioner's argument that 157.062D applies only to the original proceeding would defeat this purpose and would allow a petitioner to file only an original motion for enforcement of a support order and then amend that original motion or reset it, and to add new claims and avoid completely.
Excuse me.
Can't get both of you.
I mean, I've been here, as have you, in hearing since 9 o'clock. I just wonder if we could ever get to a hearing rather than.
I would like to, but I'm making legal points which a court reporter is taking down.
I don't think that's proper opening.
Closing, I mean, you're opening.
It's part of my opening. In any event, Your Honor, I don't believe the
objection overruled, Judge.
Yes, I didn't hear what state your objection again.
I think it's not. I don't think it's proper opening. It's argument that would be made after testimony.
Okay, if that's what I'll sustain, let's move on.
Okay, Your Honor, I've laid it all out for you. I'm here to be able to establish a credit. I don't think the court is going to have the authorization to put this man in jail, especially once there's a credit, but because proper service has not been given in accordance with 157.062. Now, if Ms. Donica wants to take down her request for jail so we can get to dollars and cents properly of what's been paid, and if there is a credit, that's fine with me, because I want to walk out of here with a black and white figure, since there's an additional $5,000 sitting in the registry of the court down there in your county.
Okay. I'll take opening from Ms. Donica.
Judge, we've previously submitted all of our exhibits. We're just asking that he be held in contempt, that he be ordered to pay the delinquent child support that's owed, the delinquent medical bills. The reason that Mr. Owen doesn't know what the medical bills are is because he's never bothered to get on Our Family Wizard and look at the bills that were to be paid. Every single one of the bills was posted to him on Our Family Wizard, and he just didn't bother to look at them or to pay them. Okay. And the reason there's a $5,000 in the sheriff's department is because Mr. Owen wouldn't bother to show up.
All right. But here's what I'll do is I'll carry the objections, Mr. Malios, because there's quite a bit for the court to look at. So I'll carry your objections, and let's start hearing testimony.
Thank you. May I go ahead and since this is the combination, go ahead and start first, if that's okay.
It doesn't matter to me. Ms. Donica,
Okay.
does it matter?
It doesn't matter to me, Judge.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
So we can get it done.
I'd like to call Mr. Owen to the stand.
All right, sir, if you raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you give in this case will be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
All right, you may proceed.
Mr. Owen, state your full name for the court.
Wayne Edmonds Owen.
Okay. And are you the same Wayne Edmonds Owen who got divorced from your previous wife in case number 13-22210-CV?
Yes.
Okay. And your decree of divorce, I believe, was entered or signed by the court in November of 2016. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And you were served with this enforcement action, which was filed, I believe, in August of 2019 and served sometime in late August or early September. Is that correct?
No, sir. I believe it was June.
I'm sorry.
Well, let me ask you. The petition was filed by Mrs. Donica, okay?
Okay.
And it says right here at the very top, on August 26, 2019. Do you understand that?
That's correct.
Okay.
That's correct.
Okay. So between that time and September, when you had a hearing, you obviously were served papers. Is that correct?
Yes.
Has this case been reset and the motion for contempt reset numerous times?
Yes.
Have you been served since that original service in August or early September of 19 at any other time?
No, sir.
Have you been served with this petition within 10 days before this hearing date today?
No.
Okay. Now, as a result of all this, you understand that they were alleging that you were behind in your child support. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And as a result of that, do you have access to the Attorney General's child support records?
Yes.
And have you obtained those records?
Yes.
And have you kept these records as part of your own business records with regard to what has been going on with child support?
The objection to the, I don't have any objection to the Attorney
Exhibit?
General printout.
Okay. Then we'll go ahead and admit exhibit number one, which is actually that we have a business records affidavit and then the actual accounting.
Or something, yeah, I don't know that that would be his business records, but.
Just a point, if the court wants to know the basis upon this, there is clear case law that allows even the Dallas Court of Appeals and the Texas Supreme Court says.
Judge, I don't need to hear it. I don't object.
Okay, great. Then never mind. I'll shut up.
Like,
Okay.
I can't, Carrie, I'm sorry, you're, there's echo. I couldn't hear you.
yeah, I don't have any objection. I said I didn't need to be lectured.
Yeah,
Okay.
I admitted it.
Thank you, Your Honor. Okay, now if I can have you take a look at this, does it not clearly indicate on the third page, page 303 of the exhibit, that the actual account started April 14th, 2017?
That's correct.
Okay, so the actual accounting begins April of 2017, is that correct?
That's right.
And it goes forward, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, now, in addition, on the very last page, does it not indicate when you obtained this statement in April of 2021 that the total arrearage was potentially $3,706.19?
That's correct.
Okay. Let me go ahead and ask you. Let me go ahead. I'm going to offer this time as my exhibit number 2. Tiffany, if you'll pull this up. My exhibit number 2 is an actual business records affidavit, Your Honor. I took considerable time to go ahead and educate Ms. Donica on what we thought were the issues on the back child support. That was a letter dated January 25th, 2021 from my law office. These are records kept by me in the regular course of my business. And along with those records, there were attached copies of cashier's checks and also, I believe, an additional $5,000 payment of $12,1219 that is not included with this $5,000 that's been placed in the registry of the court. So I would offer this as exhibit number 2.
I don't have an objection.
All right.
Okay. Now, I'm going to ask you, if you would, sir, you sit down and you see my exhibit number 2?
Yes.
Okay. Which the court may want to do, well, you can't do it right now. Unfortunately, you don't have the exhibit, Your Honor. But there was a cashier's check dated, which was 77725. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And that was for $750.
Yes.
Okay. And my letter indicates, hold on. my letter indicates that that was January of 2017. Is that correct? There were two of them, right?
Yes.
Check number 77725 and 77726. Is that correct?
Yes.
And those were cashier's checks for child support.
Yes.
They were given to the mother. Is that correct, of the child
Yes.
or the children? Okay. I'm going to ask you to now look at what has been marked as exhibit number 1, which is an actual accounting where you would have been credited. And if you look at page 3, Tiffany, you might want to compare that with page 3 of exhibit 1.
I don't know if that's short, but I can't read any of the writing on those. And the copies that I have, I can't read those either. I can't read any of the dates or anything.
I can't see any writing. I mean, I can see that what's already pre-printed, but as far as
Right.
handwritten or typed, I can see the month, January, February, child support.
Well, were these designed for child support for 2017?
Yes.
Okay. Now, my question then is, if we go to exhibit number 1 on the Attorney General's accounting, on page 3, between April 17th and August of 2017, is there any reference anywhere to a $750 payment?
No, sir.
If we go to the next page, page 2 of 3, which takes the accounting from September 07 of 2017 through October 2019, is there written anywhere $750?
No, sir.
If we go to the first page, which is October of 19 through April of 2021, do we see anywhere the number $750 on 2 certified checks either time?
No, sir.
Okay. Now, in addition, okay, did we not go ahead and advise Ms. Donick in this letter that there was also a $5,000 check dated January 8th of 2020? Is that correct?
Correct.
No, I take that back. That's exhibit number 2. It was 2019, December 12th of 19. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And that was actually a check made payable or made written by Pat Owen, which I assume is who, your mother?
That's correct.
Okay. And it says at the left-hand corner, child support the kids. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And we sent this to Ms. Donica on January 25th, 2021. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And we attached it, right?
Yes.
Okay. Now let's go back to exhibit number 1. Exhibit number 1 is a true and correct accounting of everything received allegedly by the Attorney General's office, correct?
Correct.
Okay, let's go to page 3 of exhibit number 1, where it starts the child support beginning April of 17 through August of 17. You see that?
Yes.
Is the number $5,000 written anywhere on that page?
No, sir.
Okay, let's go to the next page. Page 2 of 3. This is the accounting by the Attorney General's office from September 7th of 17 through October 7th of 19. Is the number $5,000, does it appear anywhere on their credit?
No, sir.
Okay, let's go to the first page, which is an accounting of all payments from October 15th of 19 through April 9th of 2021. You see that?
Yes.
Okay. Is there the number $5,000 written anywhere?
No, sir.
Okay. So now that's 5,000 plus 750 and 750. That's $6,500 that is not accounted for. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. In addition to that, we went ahead and we indicated to Mrs. Donica, I believe, that there was also a payment on March 3rd of 2017 of $1,018.36, correct?
Correct.
Okay, and that was cashier's check number 0077819, right?
Right.
And it also said March child support.
I mean, you're scrolling through so fast, I can't see anything.
On
I can't
exhibit,
read those, so it doesn't really matter.
okay, on exhibit number 2, Mrs. Donica, I'm actually on the pink exhibit, the very last page, or the lowest little pink one down, that is for $1,018.36.
Okay.
You see that?
I mean, I can't read it, but I can see the pink.
And it does say $1,018.36, correct?
I beg your pardon?
It does say $1,018.36, correct?
Am I on the witness stand?
I'm just asking. It's there. That's what it says. Okay, let me move on. Okay. And exhibit number 2, we provided this to Mrs. Donica. Is that correct?
Correct.
And that amount of $1,018.36 is there. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And it indicates that it was a cashier's check that was done for March 3rd, 2017, although you can't quite read the 2017. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Now, if you go back to exhibit number 1, let's help Mrs. Donica in the court on this. There are 3 dates that we examined your bank records, okay?
Yes.
The first date is, we know the Attorney General's office.
Okay, Your Honor, I'm going to have to object to the testimony being offered by Mr. Malios.
I also think, can you put it in the form of a question to your client?
Okay. Is there an amount of $1,018.36 in April of 17?
Yes.
How about in June of 17?
Yes.
How about in July of 17?
Yes.
Okay. And in August?
Yes.
Okay. Now, I'm going to offer at this time exhibit number 3. Tiffany, if you'll pull that up. Yeah, that's the bank, Prosperity Bank. That's correct. Okay. Your Honor, exhibit number 3, these are actually business records of his account with Prosperity Bank. These were actually provided in discovery that Mrs. Donica had requested. And so these are only for 3 of those of the months from 2017. And this is his affidavit. So we'd offer, this is exhibit number 3, the Prosperity Bank records.
And the relevance of this is what?
The relevance is, there were checks for $1,018.36 that were written in those 3 months, which are also accounted for. So this cashier's check is not accounted for, and that should be an additional credit of $1,018.36.
Well, that would be credit if she received them, right?
I can show where they were written out of the account, and obviously the Attorney General's office exhibit 1 shows that they got them because a credit was given.
Well, if they're on the child support printout, why are we talking about them?
Because I want to show that we gave an $1,036.18 check in March of 2017 before the account was open in April that was never accounted for. So it's a credit.
So I'm so confused. Is it on the child support printout or is it not?
It's on the child support printout, and I want to show you that it's on his bank statements.
Okay, well, I'm going to object to the relevance. If it's on the child support printout, if he's trying to show payments that were made that are not on the that are not on the child support printout, then that would seem to be relevant. But if they're on there, I mean, I don't want to go through every month looking at his bank statement.
I'm only going through 3 months. April of 17, June of 17, and July of 17 to show that they were made out of the account, and that the March payment is additional to that, which was never accounted for.
Are these all contained in the same exhibit 3?
Yeah, it's all in exhibit 3, Your Honor. You'll see it.
Okay, I'll overrule. You have a running objection. 3 submitted, and I've got to recess.
I understand. I'll just simply tell you, Judge, if you look at the pages for April and June and July of 17, you'll see the 1,036.18, and that matches up with Exhibit 1, and so you've got this additional 1,018.36 cashier's check never accounted for. I will move on.
Okay. Here,
Okay.
We're going to have to be in recess until 2.
And Judge, I start a mediation at 1.
Okay.
I'm not the mediator. Mr. Hayden is the mediator. FYI.
We can go. Let's go off the record brief. Well, no, we'll stay on the record because I don't want to repeat it. So, Mr. Malice, I think before we got started, I heard you indicating that you had something at 1. Is that correct?
I do have an appointment at 1 o'clock.
Okay. And Ms. Sonica, you said you had a mediation that starts at 2. You're not.
It starts at 1, Judge.
Oh, it starts at 1. I'm sorry. Okay. And I'm assuming that's a half-day mediation since
It is, God, it better be. I've already lost a half of my life this morning.
I mean, I hate to break this up now, but I mean, I think I need a break, and I think.
I agree.
Can y'all contact Melissa and let's just be in recess. If we can finish this today, that'd be great. I would like to, but if not, then.
And I hate to put everybody, at this is the mediation that we're going to do, Judge, is real number intensive. I mean, we've got, and that's the reason it's problematic is that a lot of times, when it's just, this one though is numbers.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a little.
Hey, why don't, when y'all are done with your appointments and your mediations, can y'all email Melissa to see where y'all are?
Absolutely.
We can come back this afternoon. If not, then. So we're in recess.
Okay, thank you, Your
So
Honor.
we log off, Judge. I think I'm going to go ahead and log off.
Okay.
Super.
Judge, thank you for your time. We'll get it reset.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I didn't realize this morning's first hearing was going to go as long, and
I didn't either, Judge. I apologize. But
And I want to compliment you on your patience, Your Honor, in that first hearing.
I don't know. That's. I guess that's patience. I don't know.
It was excellent patience.